This is a quick demonstration of how to install pieces of ArchiveMethod in the right locations so that a database will become a participating database and gain the functionality endowed by ArchiveMethod. In this video, we are going to do this manually. Another video will show the alternative of placing these pieces semi-automatically with the help of the ArchiveMethod database itself. We'll assume that you've downloaded the materials from Bareboat that pertain to ArchiveMethod and put them in a folder somewhere. Bareboat is the name of the company responsible for ArchiveMethod. The ArchiveMethod project comes with three relevant pieces. One is the component called AMC for ArchiveMethod component. Actually, there are two variants of this component, AMC 13 or AMC 14. Which is to be installed depends on which version of 4D the participating database belongs to, version 13 or version 14. ArchiveMethod does not support earlier versions of 4D. The second is a text file, AMCD list 4D commands, which supplements the component. AMCD stands for ArchiveMethod Component Data. The third is a macro, ArchiveMethod macros. First, let's install the component in the correct location. If you look at the 4D documentation, it explains that components can be installed in a couple of locations. If you place the component adjacent to the 4D executable application itself, it will apply to all the database projects that you have. An alternative, more conservative approach is to place the component in the database structure that you are specifically working with, and that's the approach that I'll show in this video. Let's consider a brand new database, and we have one called brand new database. On the Macintosh, typically to actually see the database structure in the data file, you have to look inside the package, which you do by right-clicking here and choosing Show Package Contents. Here's the structure file, and here's the data file. The component and the macro have to be placed in the appropriate folders. If you make a new database, you won't see a components folder or a macros folder. Let's go ahead and create a components folder. And this is where the AMC component is going to be placed. Here is the component itself, and I'll bring a copy across. What I have moved in is a folder, or on the Macintosh, a package. We can look inside it and see the 4DC file. There's also a resources folder. If not, you'd have to create it. Currently, that folder is empty. We're going to place the text file, this one right here, inside that resources file. This text file contains information about the commands of 4D. Macros also can be placed in a number of locations. they are always placed in a folder called macros space v2. The 4D documentation explains that this folder can be placed in a variety of locations. On this video, I'm going to be placing it adjacent to the database structure. This is also where we elected to place the components folder. When placed here, the macro will only apply to this particular database. It will not interfere with other macros that you might have installed. So let's go back to that location. Here's the structure file again, and here's the database file, and here's the components folder that we just created. I'm now going to go ahead and create the macros folder, and we're going to put in the text file or XML file of the ArchiveMethod macro in that folder. At this point, this database has become a participating database, and the functionality of ArchiveMethod has been inserted in the brand new database. In the components folder, we see the AMC component. If we open that up, we can see in the resources folder the list of 4D commands text file. And when we go back, we can see the macros v2 folder, and inside of that, the ArchiveMethod macros file.